Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Roma Ghai, Associate Professor from Kite School of Pharmacy, would like to present the topic on history and development of pharmacovigilance and importance of safety monitoring. Now this is a lecture 1 which belongs to the syllabus of pharmacovigilance BP 80580. So let's start. The contents of my topic will be definition of pharmacovigilance, difference between ADR and adverse event, why pharmacovigilance is required, goals of pharmacovigilance, major aims and objectives of pharmacovigilance, pharmacovigilance activities, examples of drug withdrawn, historical evolution of pharmacovigilance and importance of safety monitoring. So let's understand what is pharmacovigilance. Now it is a pharmacological science related to the collection, detection, assessment, monitoring and prevention of adverse reactions with pharmaceutical products. So it is a pharmacological science. We have to lay emphasis on this. So this pharmacovigilance can be divided into two parts. Pharmakon, which is a Greek term, means drug, and vigilare, which is a Latin word, it means to keep watch. So ultimately aim of pharmacovigilance is to ensure the drug safety. So in simple words, we can simply say pharmacovigilance is a type of continually monitoring of unwanted effects and safety related to the drugs. So let's understand now what is adverse drug reaction, what is adverse event. Adverse drug reaction is a response which is noxious, that means very bad, and unintended, that means there is no intention, and which occurs at doses normally used in humans for the prophylaxis, diagnosis or therapy of the disease or for the modification of physiological function. So this is actually the WHO definition. In 1972, WHO has made this definition. So in simple words, ADR, that's adverse drug reaction, is characterized by causal relationship between the drug and the occurrence. That means it is judged being possibly related to the treatment by the reporting or health professional. ठीक है? अब हम समझते हैं adverse event क्या है? Any untoward. See the here it is noxious and here is untoward. So any untoward which is actually maybe a occurrence which we do not know whether it's because of the ADR. So an untoward medical occurrence that may present during treatment with a pharmaceutical product but does not necessarily have a causal relationship with the treatment. तो स्टूडेंट्स आप लोग ये समझ लीजिए कि ADR में क्या है कि causal relationship is established, but here we do not know whether the relationship with the drug is there or not. Now why pharmacovigilance is required? Let's understand. Now basically pharmacovigilance, as I told you, it's simply that we are basically understanding the ADRs. Now ADRs are the leading cause of death. ADRs lead to increase in hospital admissions, and in patients it's prone to develop more ADRs which will extend the hospital stay. It can escalate the hospital costs. The ADRs are expensive. The ADRs related cost to country has been exceeded than the cost of the medicines. This was a reference from Ernst paper survey, where it was found that cost of drug related morbidity and mortality exceeded $177.4 billion in 2000. So majority of reactions can be prevented. They are preventable. It is already said that dying from a disease is sometimes unavoidable, but dying from a medicine is totally unacceptable. Then second reason why pharmacovigilance is required, it is due to limitation of clinical trials. Clinical trials are the trials done on human beings to find out the safety and efficacy of the drugs. So clinical trials are performed in small number of patients. Clinical trials are performed in restricted population. There is a restricted age, sex, maybe male or female. It is done for narrow indications. It's done for shorter duration of drug exposure. So basically monitoring is done only for small period of time. So that is why we need to keep on seeing the monitoring, keep on monitoring the safety of the drugs. Then pharmacovigilance is needed in every country. Because monitoring of ADR in every country is important because ADRs differ from country to country. Why? Because there are differences in drug production, there are differences in drug distribution and use. In some country, drug is used for some other indication, some other dose is used, right. Then it can differ because of the genetics, the genes of the people, diet taken by the people, traditions of the people. Like some people like to use the herbal remedies, maybe then herbal remedies are used with the drugs. So, it may cause some ADRs. Plus the pharmaceutical quality, जो quality होती है वो अलग होती है, it differs from country to country. So, pharmaceutical quality of the ingredients, composition, they can differ. Now, what are the goals of pharmacovigilance? Now, the goals of pharmacovigilance is assuring rational and safe use of medical drugs. And we all know that ADR only comes to light after drug has been launched in the market and has been used by large population. So, sometimes ADR comes when the drug has been launched in the market. So, the pharmacovigilance helps in assessment as well as communication of the risk and benefits of drugs in the market. So, pharmacovigilance is helping in educating as well as informing patients. Now, let us understand the major aims of pharmacovigilance. The first very important aim is to improve patient care and safety in relation to the medicines and all medical and paramedical interventions, to improve public health and safety in relation to the use of medicines, to contribute to risk benefit assessment. When you say risk benefit assessment, what it means? It means assessment of the benefit, harm, effectiveness and risk of the medicines. To promote understanding, clinical training and effective communication to health professionals and the public is another aim of pharmacovigilance. Let us understand the objectives. What is the major objective of this pharmacovigilance program? Now, to decrease mortality, that is death, to decrease morbidity, that is disability, which is associated with many adverse events, to identify unrecognized adverse drug events. The next objective is to early detection of unknown ADRs as well as drug interactions. Then it helps in quantify previously recognized adverse drug reactions. So, it is helping in quantify कितने ADRs हो रहे हैं. It helps in detection of increase in frequency. It can detect increase in frequency of the known ADRs. It helps in identification of risk factors, which factors are responsible for the ADRs and what are the possible mechanisms underlying the ADRs. It helps in estimation quantitative aspects of benefits, risk analysis and spreading of information needed to improve the drug prescribing and regulation. So, it is helping in evaluating the effectiveness of medicines in the real world situations. Now, what are PV activities? What are pharmacovigilance activities? Now, the International Pharmacovigilance Systems aims to monitor the risk-benefit ratio of the drugs because it is helping in improving the patient safety and quality. So, what are these activities? Let us try to understand the activities. First one is collecting, managing data on the safety of medicines, looking at the individual case safety reports so that we can detect the new signals. What are new signals? New signals are unknown adverse effects of the drug. Then proactive risk management to minimize any potential risk associated with the use of medicines. Communicating and informing stakeholders and patients. This seamless post-marketing surveillance. So, what is post-marketing surveillance? That is when the drug is launched in the market, we have to survey the drug for its safety and it is helping in protecting the public. It also allows the controlling authorities, they are the regulatory authorities to modify. What to modify? To modify the summary product characteristics released by the marketing authorization holder for any new medicinal product. Students, what is summary product characteristic? It helps you to find out what is the use of the drug, how to use the drug. So, this is basically used in European Union. So, controlling authorities can modify the summary product characteristics based on the newly discovered signals. Now, let us understand the drugs withdrawn due to post-marketing surveillance. Cisapride in 2000 withdrawn because of cardiac arrhythmias. Troglitazone withdrawn in 2000 due to hepatotoxicity. Rapacuronium withdrawn due to fatal bronchospasm. Serivastatin It was withdrawn because of rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis, what it means? It means a breakdown of the skeletal muscle. Rhabdo means basically it is irregular, myo means muscle and lysis means breakdown. Rofecoxib was withdrawn because of cardiovascular events. Valdecoxib was withdrawn due to dermatological adverse events. Now, let us try to understand the history and development of pharmacovigilance. In 1848, actually there was a Anar's death. She was a small 15-year-old girl and the death was caused because of chloroform. In 1937, there was a tragedy, that is sulphanilamide disaster, which I will be telling you just after the slide. So, this has happened in USA and the problem was because of diethylene glycol. In 1938, Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act was established and the public health system was renovated. In 1955, gastrointestinal toxicity of acetyl salicylic acid was proved. In 1961, there was a major tragedy called Thalidomide tragedy. Okay. So, Dr. McBride, he wrote a letter to the editor of Lancet journal and he suggested there was a connection between congenital malformation in the babies and the drug responsible was thalidomide. Thalidomide की वजह से काफ़ी congenital abnormalities हुई. In 1964, the yellow card structure was made in the UK. In 1965, European legislation was developed. In 1968, very important thing happened, that was WHO program for international drug monitoring was instituted, was created, launched. In 1995, the European Medicine Agency was set up. So, let us see one by one. The first milestone, in 1848, the death of a 15-year-old girl, Hannah Greener, from the north of England. She died after receiving chloroform. Why she took chloroform? She had to take it, it was an anesthetic, she took it before the removal of an infected toenail. So, then many people took chloroform as anesthetic and more deaths were reported. So, because of deaths, alerts, ठीक है, एक committee appoint की गई, that was Glasgow committee. This committee was appointed by British Medical Association. So, the committee concluded that chloroform was injurious to heart and is very dangerous as compared to ether. So, this committee only basically concluded. So, after this next milestone of pharmacovigilance, US Federal Food and Drug Act was formed on June 30, 1906 to impose the quality criteria for drug manufacturing and pharmacopoeias were established. These pharmacopoeias said that the drugs must be pure and free of any contamination. So, this act actually said कि जो drug होना चाहिए वो pure होना चाहिए, free from contamination. And pharmacopoeia had the quality procedures. In 1937, there were 107 deaths in USA because of the use of sulphanilamide elixir. Let us understand this. Now, this diethylene glycol was a toxic solvent and this solvent was actually the cause of deaths. However, the manufacturing companies who made the sulphanilamide elixir were not aware about its toxicity at that time. Let us understand in detail the sulphanilamide elixir tragedy. This elixir was a raspberry flavored syrup. सल्फानिलामाइड क्या है? एक एंटीबैक्टीरियल है, तो बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शंस के लिए में एक इसका एलिक्सर बनाया गया. कौन सा फ्लेवर का? रास्पबेरी फ्लेवर का बनाया गया. ठीक है, किसके लिए बनाया गया? चिल्ड्रन के लिए बनाया गया. ठीक है, it was prepared by mixing sulphanilamide which is difficult to dissolve. So, it was mixed with diethylene glycol because it cannot dissolve in water. So, it was mixed with diethyl glycol and this was given to children. This sulphanilamide elixir was manufactured by SE Mesangial Company of Bristol. The company had tested elixir only for its appearance as well as palatability. कैसा उसका टेस्ट है, कैसा appearance है, लेकिन उसकी toxicity के लिए टेस्ट नहीं हुआ. तो क्या हुआ? 1937 में there were more than 100 children died because of its consumption. And the reason was what? Later reason was found that it was toxic solvent diethylene glycol. After 1937 tragedy, it required safety testing of new drugs, right? So that means NDA said, what is NDA? New drug application said that जो ये application है उसके अंदर safety data भी होना चाहिए. In simple words, it's the manufacturer's responsibility to prove safety as well as efficacy of the drug before marketing authorization. Next strategy में आ जाते हैं, thalidomide tragedy. The idea of pharmacovigilance took shape after 1961. After the thalidomide tragedy was reported, so pharmacovigilance का proper shape लिया after 1961. That was when thalidomide tragedy was reported. Now, what is this thalidomide? Thalidomide is marketed in 1956 in Western Germany. It was mainly used as hypnotic or sedative drug, and later it was used to manage nausea in pregnant women. Please remember, it was used to manage nausea in pregnant women. तो क्या हुआ? जब ये pregnant women से जो babies born हुए, however the babies born to these pregnant mothers, they suffered from major congenital defect, that is malformation of limbs. और उसका नाम क्या दिया गया? Phocobilia. That's called seal-like limbs. You can see from the photo, the limbs are so short. The limbs are so short, and you can see it that it is a congenital abnormality. So first reports of birth defects came in 1959. 13 reports of birth defects came in 1961, and around 10,000 infants were affected by this problem. So it was withdrawn shortly afterward. After the tragedies, the need for drug monitoring was well established worldwide. This disaster brought about significant changes in the safety monitoring system, with active participation from regulatory authorities, industry and healthcare workers. तो basically regulatory authorities, industry, healthcare workers ने मिलके सोचा कि एक system बनाते हैं जिससे हम monitor करेंगे safety of the drugs. तो 1963 a committee on safety of drugs was established in UK. In 1964 yellow card was structured in the UK. Now this yellow card, it is a form to compile a spontaneous report of the drug toxicity. In USA an amendment came. The amendment required safety and efficacy data of drugs before pre-marketing submission. This was approved. As a result of this amendment, safety data have to include teratogenicity test in 3 different animals. इसकी वजह से safety data को include करना, safety data have to include the teratogenicity tests. So then came the WHO Program for International Drug Monitoring. I have full video in my lecture 2 on that. So let's have a small glimpse of it. So WHO Program for International Drug Monitoring began in 1968. This is the WHO logo, and with the Uppsala Monitoring Center in Sweden being the collaborating center for this global initiative. The main function of this coordinating center is communication of safety signals recognized through the analysis of global data of the ADRs. Now WHO is promoting pharmacovigilance at every country level. At the end of 2010, there were 127 countries, and India became the member of this WHO program in 1998. Now, what is the importance of drug safety monitoring? What is the importance? See, we know that adverse drug reaction is unintended reaction in patient body, which occurs as a result of administration of the drug. It is a risk mitigation exercise in which the ADRs caused by therapeutic drugs, biologicals, device can be explored, prevented or minimized. तो ये risk mitigation है. Risk mitigation मतलब risk को कम करने वाली exercise है. So drug safety monitoring is essential element for the effective use of medicines and high quality medical care. It has the potential to inspire confidence and trust among the patients and healthcare professionals in medicines and contributes to raising standards of medical practice. तो अगर drugs हमें सही मिलेंगे, doctors सही देंगे, तो पेशेंट्स का कॉन्फिडेंस और बढ़ेगा डॉक्टर्स पर, डॉक्टर्स की अच्छी रेपुटेशन बनेगी, ट्रस्ट रहेगा, ठीक है. Now ADRs, it can definitely, it can diminish the quality of life. कोई भी adverse drug reaction हो गया तो वो quality of life को खराब कर देता है. It can increase the rate and duration of hospitalization. It can increase the mortality and morbidity. It can cause financial burden on healthcare authorities enormously. So as the newer discoveries were being available to needy population at a faster rate, drug-related adverse reactions are becoming more common, severe and complex. मतलब जैसे जैसे newer discoveries आती जा रही हैं, नए new drugs आते जा रहे हैं, तो drug-related adverse reactions बहुत complex होते जा रहे हैं और severe होते जा रहे हैं. So basically वहाँ पर क्या काम आता है? Pharmacovigilance, safety monitoring कौन कर रहा है? कौन सा फील कर रहा है? PV, Pharmacovigilance. It's a process of identifying the expected and unexpected areas resulting from the use of medicines in the post-marketing phase. तो ये किसको benefit कर रहा है pharmacovigilance? It benefits everyone. Patients are protected from unsafe drugs. Drug regulators receive important data which helps them to take the regulatory decision. Analysis of ADR data helps to make the regulatory decision. जैसे जैसे analysis होगा ADR का तो regulatory authorities proper decision लेते हैं. So this program can help in reducing the cost of damages which is caused by drugs to a minimum level. So the pharmacovigilance prevent drug-related damages if appropriate care is taken. Now it prevents drug-related damages by physicians on the basis of the feedback from the pharmacovigilance system. जैसे ही डॉक्टर्स को फीडबैक मिलता है कि ये ड्रग से प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं, so it can prevent such drug-related damages. Now what is the increased necessity? So there are multiple reasons for the increased necessity for drug safety monitoring. पहली चीज क्या है? Limitations, जिसको हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में पढ़ेंगे. Unreliability of preclinical safety data. Now preclinical safety data क्या होता है? Preclinical होता है जब हम animal studies करते हैं, हम in vitro in vivo studies करते हैं. It involves evaluation of drug safety and efficacy in animal experiments. However, it may not be appropriate to extrapolate the results of preclinical studies to human beings. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि पक्का जो animals के अंदर आइडियाज आ रहे हैं वो human beings पे भी आएंगे, या अगर animals पे कोई मतलब कोई पर्टिकुलर डैमेज नहीं हो रहा तो हम पक्का नहीं कह सकते कि वो ह्यूमन बींग्स में नहीं आएंगे. थर्ड रीजन इज चेंजिंग द फार्मास्यूटिकल मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज, एग्रेसिव मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज. फोर्थ वन इज चेंजिंग फिजिशियन एंड पेशेंट प्रेफरेंसेस. फिफ्थ वन इज इजी एक्सेसिबिलिटी. इसी वजह से देयर इज इंक्रीज नेसेसिटी ऑफ ड्रग सेफ्टी मॉनिटरिंग. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड लिमिटेशन ऑफ क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स. देखो जब क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स ह्यूमन बींग्स में है तो तब पॉपुलेशन सैंपल क्या है? होमोजीनियस. होमोजीनियस मतलब एक जैसी पॉपुलेशन होती है, ठीक है, एक पर्टिकुलर एज ली जाती है, एक पर्टिकुलर जेंडर लिया जाता है. इन क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स इज स्ट्रिक्ट इंक्लूजन एक्सक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया. किसके ऊपर हम ट्रायल्स करते हैं, किस पे नहीं करते हैं, वो भी स्ट्रिक्ट होता है. सब्जेक्ट यूजुअली हैव अ सिंगल डिजीज. Specific groups of children, elderly, pregnant, they are excluded. They are not excluded. They are not included. They are not included. Then the small sample size or detection of rare adverse event becomes difficult. Then short duration of trial is another limitation of clinical trial. It limits the detection of long-term adverse effects. क्योंकि ट्रायल थोड़ी देर के टाइम के लिए, थोड़े कुछ महीने के लिए, तो हम उसमें long-term adverse effect को नहीं निकाल पाते. So clinical trials are conducted under well-controlled condition. So it's difficult to predict the adverse effects and total risk-benefit ratio under actual settings, actual clinical settings. So because of this inability to detect ADRs under real conditions, inability to detect drug interaction, inability to detect drug-food interaction, inability to detect large number of unpredictable conditions, inability to detect the risk factors. So all these are the limitations of clinical trials. Then changing pharmaceutical marketing strategies, aggressive marketing strategies. Now let's understand this. Students, what is happening nowadays? New companies are coming with the new products. So they want to launch their new products. They want to earn profits. They are going for aggressive marketing, right? So efforts to launch new products in many countries by pharmaceutical companies has increased the exposure of larger population. वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा population को अपनी medicines पहुँचाना चाहती हैं companies. So then the large population becomes at a risk of experiencing ADRs. Direct to consumer advertising has led the physicians to prescribe new drugs. कई बार हम लोग को इंटरनेट से इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है तो कंज्यूमर ही कहता है डॉक्टर को, क्या डॉक्टर कहता है? डॉक्टर साहब मुझे अच्छी दवाई देना, नई दवाई देना जिससे मैं जल्दी ठीक हो जाऊँ, ठीक है. तो ये डायरेक्ट टू कंज्यूमर एडवर्टाइजिंग है, तो फिजिशियन ऑब्वियसली प्रिस्क्राइब करेगा न्यू ड्रग्स. then changing physicians and patient preferences. Now basically there is increasing use of new drugs. जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया, physicians as well as patients are now eager to use new products without sufficiently studying the benefits of new medication. Without studying, अभी पूरी study नहीं हुई new medication की, ठीक है, फिर भी physicians they want to use the new products, ठीक है. So without studying the benefits of new medication over the established ones. So newer drugs, you know, they have more complicated mechanism of action. जितने new drugs आ रहे हैं तो उनका mechanism of action भी अलग होगा. अगर वो complicated है तो उससे adverse reactions जो होंगे that are expected to be complex. Increasing use of drugs to improve quality of life. Nowadays lot of herbal supplements, lot of nutraceuticals, lot of new drugs are coming, new formulations are coming to improve quality of life rather than the actual clinical condition. Thirdly, very very important, shift of supervised to self-administered therapy. आजकल सब अपने आप को डॉक्टर समझते हैं. So basically क्या हो रहा है शिफ्ट, डॉक्टर्स को दिखाने से पहले सेल्फ एडमिनिस्टर करना शुरू कर देते हैं, ठीक है, क्योंकि पॉपुलेशन है तो एजुकेटेड, इन्फॉर्म्ड है, सो दे ट्राई टू मैनेज द डिजीजेस, ठीक है. तो यही लिखा है मैंने, सिंस द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ एजुकेटेड इन्फॉर्म्ड पेशेंट इज इंक्रीजिंग, they have started playing more active role in therapeutic management. So hospital-based medically supervised therapy is now shifting towards the home-based self-administered therapy. So this shift is making it difficult to identify the occurrence, frequency, severity and actual characteristic ADR. इस वजह से हम आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पा रहे हैं ADRs कब हो जाते हैं, कितने फ्रीक्वेंटली हो रहे हैं, क्या सिवियरिटी है, क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है ADR की. Then easy accessibility of drugs. By easy access to internet, simply we know that it's easy to internet, there are lot of आजकल काफ़ी सॉफ्टवेयर्स हैं और जिस तरीके से आपका फार्म ईजी है, नेट मेड्स हैं, तो लोग क्या करते हैं, दे हैव ईजी एक्सेस टू इंटरनेट, सो दे से कि अपने आप ही ऑर्डर कर देते हैं मेडिसिन. दिस ईजी अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री मेडिसिन यूज इज बिकमिंग पॉपुलर. दे लार्जली एस्केप ऑफ ऑफिशियल रिक्वायरमेंट्स, easily available, increasing penetration of market by substandard drugs, and all these reasons have made it necessary to implement an effective, robust safety monitoring through pharmacovigilance program. तो आपने देखा है कि जो easy availability है, they escape the official requirements of approval, उनको approval नहीं मिली है, फिर भी लोग बहुत use कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. तो हमें तो all these reasons have made it necessary to implement a very effective, robust safety monitoring program. So these are the references of my presentation. So I hope you all have understood. So we have seen that what is pharmacovigilance, what is the history, and we have seen the importance of safety monitoring. Thank you all, and I really it was thanks to my audience for patient listening. Thank you.